Welcome learners to another module of the course, The Fundamentals of Economics and Financial Markets. Today, we'll be dealing with another important concept in the subject of public finance and now public economics. Prior to this, you must have understood the concept of public goods. In earlier lectures, we have discussed this, how the public good is allocated, what are the resources to the government, the revenue of the government in the form of taxes. As I told earlier, the tax is one of the largest source of the government, but not the only source. Some non-tax revenues do exist as a source of revenue to the government. Types of taxes we have discussed: direct, indirect, proportional, progressive, forming the revenue side, the impact and incidence of taxes, as well as shifting of taxes, how these taxes shifted, what are the various tools through which that determine or factor that have an impact on shifting of taxes. Furthermore, we have also discussed how taxes are imposed as two principles we have discussed: benefit principle and ability to pay approach. This forms one side of the stream of public finance, that is the revenue side of the government. What all constitute type of taxes, although the system is different for central government, for state government, the name of the taxes are different, direct taxes different, indirect taxes are different, they constitute the revenue side of the taxes. Today, we will be dealing with the other side of the coin, and that is the expenditure side. The public expenditure side. When the government is collecting revenue, where that revenue is being spent, what is the meaning of that revenue, what type of expenditures do exist. So, today we will be covering the topics of meaning of public expenditure, the classification of public expenditure, and with the passage of time, what are the reasons that we are witnessing growth in public expenditure, why the expenditure problem is increasing day by day. See, when we start with the concept, what is public expenditure? Public expenditure in common parlance, how do we define it? We say public expenditure refers to all the expenses of the government that the government is incurring. Public means government. Public here means not we and you, public here means the government. So, as the name suggests, any expenditure that would be incurred by the government, expenses which the government incurs, for what purpose? For its own maintenance and also for the economy as a whole. See, earlier we have discussed the concept of public good. When the government is providing public good, that means what? That means government is spending. That is a part of public expenditure. So, it means expenses of the public authorities, center, state and local government, either in protecting the citizen or, since the government is what? It is a welfare state, for promoting their social and economic welfare, for fulfilling their needs, for trying to reduce the gap, for providing more products, required products that are necessary to every citizen of that country. All these for health, for education, for better infrastructure, any kind of expenditure that is incurred by center, state or local authorities, by the local government, is termed as public expenditure. The level of public expenditure depends on the government progress. But the public expenditure what we see today, the face was not same of the public expenditure. In the early part of the 19th century, the views towards public expenditure were very different. So, we see two divergent views regarding public expenditure. PE here stands for public expenditure. These two divergent views include the traditional view and the modern view. When we talk of traditional view, The traditional view says it was the time when the capitalist economy, free market mechanism was there, the capitalist economy was there, there existed laissez-faire policy. So the traditional view of are identified with Adam Smith and his followers. It says that the function of the state, what is the role of the state? State here means the government. The function of the state is restricted to justice, police and arm. That means the state should only be involved in an economy for maintaining law and order. That's the laissez-faire policy says, non-intervention of the state in economic activities of the any country or economy. So, the capitalist economists, the earlier economists, the view that prevailed in early 19th century was that function of the state restricts only to justice, police and arms. And any kind of government expenditure, since capitalist was there, private motive profit was there, so they treated any kind of government expenditure is wasteful, and that money can be better utilized by private persons than government to fulfill their profits, to enhance their profit, to increase the productivity. This was the traditional view. But now when you listen to this view, what do you think? This view of public expenditure, the classical view, appears to be quite unscientific. These views were there, we have discussed this earlier also, that many factors led to the market failure, the free market mechanism, the capitalist economy, and the role of government slowly started increasing, and government has a very important role in every balance or every economic, social, political activities in an economy. And the modern view resides on that. The modern view argued for increased state interventions in economic activities in any country. Economic activities of the state have increased many ways. Earlier it was law and order. This has not only intensified, but the activities of the government are extensively being increased in the form of trade, commerce, welfare, any other social activities, any economic activities, fiscal services, monetary services, all are being provided. Government has a very important role to play in every aspect, in every activity. So, it has now been realized that the nature and volume of public expenditure can have an important effect on the economic life of the country. Government, whatever government is spending, has a positive impact, has an impact on the economic life of the economy, of the country, of the residents, of the people. So, we should also understand the classification of public expenditure. See, classification of public expenditure basically means what are the items, what are the categories in which public expenditure should be conducted or done. Let's talk about the functional classification, which is popularly called as Adam Smith's classification. See, in Adam Smith's classification, he said that public expenditure should purely be on law and order, justice, to certain extent public utilities and sovereignty. A.C. Pigot gave another view to this concept of classification of public expenditure. He said that public expenditure can be classified into transfer and non-transfer public expenditure. So, what does transfer public expenditure means? That the beneficiaries do not contribute anything towards the expenditure. We are not contributing in the form of pensions. If we are getting at the age of retirement, pensions are given to the employees. It is in the form of transfer. The pension amount is being transferred into our account, and for that receiving that pension, we are not paying anything at present. Interest payment, if we are having any kind of grants received, any other kind of social security measures that is adopted by the government for maintaining law and order, anything, we are not paying for that. So, that includes transfers where beneficiaries do not directly contribute anything. However, the non-transfer refers to that kind of public expenditure in which beneficiaries have to pay. That is the difference between transfer and non-transfer. Beneficiaries do not contribute in transfer, but in non-transfer, beneficiary have to pay for goods and services received from the government, like education. The government schools are giving education a certain, maybe the fees amount is a little less than the private schools or public schools or any other kind of schools, other than the government schools basically. The fees is less, but certain amount the beneficiary is paying. Similar is the case of with the judiciary service, any kind of administrative fees, stamp duties we are paying. Post office services we are paying. If we go to a post office and doing a courier, a registered post is being sent by a post office, then what happens? We have to pay a certain amount according to the weight, according to the place, and our registry goes. So, for post office services, the beneficiary is availing, a public expenditure is done on conduction and arrangement of all these things, but a certain amount is being paid by the beneficiary. Similarly, purchase on raw material. If we are purchasing raw material from the PSUs, public sector undertakings of the government, that means certain amount is being paid. So, there are direct returns to the government for expenses incurred in non-transfer. Certain amount of direct return is there in the form of price that is paid by the beneficiary. Professor Dalton, he realized that public expenditure can be categorized into purchase price and grants. Purchase price, another way of defining transfer and non-transfer, but purchase price is that those receiving public goods and services pay for this, where public expenditure is merely a transfer payment for which there is no return from beneficiary to the government. It is called grant. That means for grant, the beneficiary is not paying anything. Howsoever, for purchase price type of public expenditure, the beneficiary is paying for the goods and services. Grants include educational institutions are receiving grants, free hospital services, treatment, camps, cheap food to the poor people, free food is there, various under various flagship programs the food is being provided. So, these all includes grants. Howsoever, if a price is paid, then it is purchase price. So, Dalton used different terminology to describe what was said by Pigou. Professor J.K. Mehta classified public expenditure into group expenditure and individual expenditure. What Professor Mehta said that certain expenditures incurred on groups cannot be controlled by individual who receive it, and hence these are classified as group expenditure. Individual in the community has to pay for such services from public authority in the form of any community. A group is there in the form of community. For that, any kind of public expenditure, any benefit, if the government is giving, certain amount is received, and that have to be borne by the community as a whole. However, certain expenditures of the government can be controlled by individual, but not buying goods and services. Those are classified as individual expenditures. Individual can, if the individual wants, he or she can purchase, but the group, if it is getting a benefit through any scheme, a certain amount of price needs to be paid. Like in a group system, in a community, installation of something becomes very important. That needs to be installed. For that, a specific price is being paid by the group, and as a mandatory law, the thing needs to be installed in that particular community. That becomes the group expenditure. However, Professor J.K. Mehta himself said it is very difficult to give a clear line of demarcation between group and individual expenditures, and many a times both are used together. Another important classification of public expenditure is the budgetary classification. That classifies expenditure on the nature of expenditure. That means the revenue expenditure and the capital expenditure. Expenditure that confers present benefits is classified as expenditure on revenue account. Like, or we say expenditure, to be simple, if I put expenditure that is recurring in nature. Current basis it is happening, regularly it is happening. Government is spending. That includes defense, pensions, salary. All these expenditures are recurring in nature, current in nature, government has to spend. These all are classified into revenue expenditure. The capital expenditure are the expenditure on the capital, from the capital account on capital assets, for creation of further capital assets, for any kind of, if I give you an example, for any kind of infrastructural development, building, long-term projects, construction of a school, construction of a hospital, roads, dam, bridges, all these include capital expenditure. That would further create assets, that would further create capital for long-term purposes. So, on the basis of budgetary classification, the expenditure is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Another criteria on which the expenditure is classified includes developmental public expenditure and non-developmental public expenditure. See, developmental and non-developmental, both the expenditures are important. It is not that one is important and the other one is not important. Howsoever, this classification is based that whether the expenditure is contributing towards economic growth and development and whether it is not. Both have an important place, both needs to be incurred by the government, but the contribution towards growth and development differs. So, when we talk of developmental public expenditure, the expenditure incurred on economic services, social and community services, all form welfare services, expenditure on health, that will expenditure on education, that will lead to human capital formation, that is developmental expenditure that is being incurred. Various exemptions are there, various scholarships are there so that the students can study, go to higher education, furthermore study, and a human capital is built in an economy. So, community services are there, various programs, economic services are given to individuals, community, economy, all these includes developmental expenditure. Howsoever, expenditure on civil administration, interest payment, government has taken loan, paying interest, debt is taken and for that interest is being paid, defense expenditure, all these are also important, but they are not directly contributing to the economic development. So, they are termed and categorized under non-developmental expenditure. Earlier, there was a distinction between plan and non-plan expenditure. Howsoever, now this distinction is no more and the distinction between plan and non-plan expenditure does not exist. Therefore, I am not dealing it today. When these kind of expenditure exist in the economy, there has to be some reasons why public expenditure is growing, has grown over the period of time. When we take the data for the past say 30-35 years, what we see that public expenditure has continuously been growing in an economy, especially with respect to India. If I talk, the expenditure has shown a growing trend. Now, what can be the probable reasons for growth of public expenditure? The first and foremost reason that comes is the concept of welfare state. As we have discussed earlier, that down or failure of the free market mechanism enhance the role of state, and state has a very important role to play in every aspect, every sector for economic development, which includes economic, political and social well-being of the people. So, the role of state is further being extensified. That means the state is now established as a welfare state. Thus, the role is extensified, so the public expenditure is increasing. The second important reason becomes war and national defense. In most of the countries, what we see, heavy expenditure is being incurred on account of cost of war and preparedness of war. Larger the country, the more is the public expenditure. The cost of defense has phenomenally increased over the time. One is to protect your boundaries, your geographical boundaries, and second includes the use of new and sophisticated equipments. That leads to enhancement, that leads to growth, that leads to increase of public expenditure. Population growth also contributes to increase in public expenditure. The concentration of people in towns have necessitated the increased level of many government activities that government needs to cater. Further, suppose if the government is giving subsidy on a particular product and 500 people are availing that subsidy, but the population is increasing, what happens? The number of people availing that subsidy would definitely increase, leading to rise in public expenditure. Provision of economic overheads like development of a nation creation in the form of development of transport and communication. Communication services are enhancing, improving day by day. That all requires public expenditure. Transport facilities are becoming better and better for better connectivity, for transfer of goods, for people going to different places for job purposes, where there are many occupational shifts are there, for tourism purposes. This has increased development as well as maintenance of means of transport and communication to make life of the people better. Public expenditure is increasing. Generation of electric power also forms the basis for public expenditure increase. The problem of urbanization has also led to increase of public expenditure. See what is happening, the size of the cities are becoming larger and larger. Not only the size of the cities are becoming larger and larger, new urban habitants are springing up. New cities are also being developed. Urbanization is rapidly increasing. When the areas in the urban sector are thickly populated, so this requires or shows the importance of interference of the government to overcome various problems like of environmental hazards, population control, pollution control. Vehicles are increasing, use of technology is increasing, ejection of polluted air in the environment, pollution is increasing. To cater those pollution, health issues are rising because of one of the reasons is pollution as well. Education facilities, all these leads to enhancement of public expenditure. Education and human capital formation, to provide educational services, technical training to the manpower, making them more skilled, public expenditure is required. If we want that the student should go for higher education, government is spending. Economic planning adoption has also led to many spheres of socio-economic life of the community. Economic plan, earlier it was planning, now slowly we have shifted from planning commission to Niti Aayog, but adoption of economic planners have contributed to increase in public expenditure. Modernization of agriculture. Economies, many economies in the world are agrarian based economy, and a correlation of agriculture and industry helps for economic growth and development. So, the growth and modernization of agriculture becomes very important. Therefore, modernization of agriculture has also led to increase in public expenditure by improving the irrigation facility, provision of better fertilizers, more scientific agricultural inputs for better quality products have increased the public expenditure. Industrial development in the form of cheap credits, so that more industrial setups are there, entrepreneurship is promoted, new businesses emerge that would give employment to more people. The credit should be cheap so that people can have credit and invest. Concessions are given, improved transport facilities are given. These all work as an incentive for industrial establishment. Industrial development serves as one of the important reasons. Provision of public goods and utility. Public goods we have dealt earlier also. In the earlier week, we have read much about it, what is public good and how it is allocated in the form of roads, rails, street lights, public parks, flood controls, post office. These all includes public goods and utility, that has increased the public expenditure. Maintenance of law and order, that has always been the government's functional part. So, in tune with the growth of population, urbanization and complexities of modern economic, socio-political life, law and order problems are becoming more intense. So, the expenditure has increased. I think by now you must have understood what is public expenditure, how the public expenditure is slowly rising in an economy, what are the classifications of public expenditure, revenue capital expenditure, that is the budgetary classification, which holds importance to today's budget as well, and what can be the probable reasons for increase in public expenditure. So all these things would make you understand the public expenditure, why it is important, and what has led to increase in public expenditure. So a self-evaluation question for you is, what is the justification of increasing public expenditure? Is it correct? It is good that the public expenditure, we are seeing the data says that the public expenditure is increasing. So what are the various things that justify, reasons that justify why public expenditure is increasing? I hope you will be able to answer this self-evaluation question. These are the suggested readings: Musgrave and Musrake, Public Finance in Theory and Practice; Browning and Browning, Public Finance and the Price System; James Buchanan, The Demand and Supply of Public Goods; and N. Radhakrishnan, Public Finance Theory and Approach. These readings would definitely enhance your knowledge, would help you to understand the concept and make you understand this. So, learners, thank you.